Hello and welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid you welcome. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such, I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being traditional custodians of this land. So if you've come here through the Reawakening the Sacred Self online conference, welcome again. Thank you for signing up. You will find that I do a variety of videos on this channel, a whole lot of content in relation to my observations, my interests. So I hope you enjoy. If you're a regular, no doubt you are aware of that. This video is going to be about the upcoming eclipse that we have. Now, it's going to be quite interesting because it's taking place on either the 7th or the 8th of September. Most parts of the world, it's going to be on the 7th. Here in Australia, it will be on the 8th of September. It's in Pisces, so that's the last sign of the zodiac. It's a lunar eclipse, so it'll be taking place on the full moon. And it'll be at 15 degrees 22 minutes. So this means that it's a full moon, the sun will be in the opposite sign, which is Virgo. And it is said to be one of the longer eclipses that we've had basically since 2022. That's according to timeanddate.com. It's going to be visible in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, also the eastern tip of Brazil and South America, Pacifica, Atlantic Oceans, Indian Oceans, Arctic regions, Antarctica, all that sort of middle part, if you're looking at a map like that. But it will sort of spread out with the entire eclipse being able to be seen basically from Eastern Africa and Europe, the Baltic areas, Asia, Antarctica, Western and Central Australia. Even here in Adelaide, where I am, we will see it as well. So that's quite special. It will be taking place here in Adelaide at 12, about 2 minutes to 1 o'clock in the morning. And it will be sort of ending around about 6:25 a.m. So it's around about 5.5 hours long is the whole cycle of the eclipse. The full moon, when it reaches its peak, is almost halfway. So that will be at 3:38 a.m. And of course, that's Australian Central Standard Time. So eclipses happen, as I said, during the full moon, while solar eclipses happen during the new moon. This is a lunar eclipse. It's when the Earth moves directly between the sun and the moon, and it's sort of like casting a shadow onto the moon itself. So at night, especially here in Australia, where it will be at night, we will start to see the moon disappear from our view as the Earth positions itself in that sort of light between the sun and the moon as well. It's usually, or the eclipses occur when the moon, I should say, lines up with either the north or south node. This will be on the north node, which is our future direction. As I said, it's in Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's connected with endings, and being a full moon. Full moon is also about endings, the culmination of a lunar cycle as well. And it's basically indicating for us that these closures are needing to take place. They're necessary in order for us to move forward, which is the North Node associational connection. The sun is in Virgo, which is where the South Node is, and that's all about our karmic past, our sort of the karmic imprint of all the unresolved sort of connections that we have brought into this life from previous lifetimes in order to deal with, to sort of bring to an ending again. So the sun is also in connection to our external self, like how we show up in the world as well. And it's quite interesting because the nodes shift every 18 months or so. And we've been on the sort of Virgo Pisces axis since quite recently, really. Since January, I think was when we had that big shift. It was on the 11th of January is when the nodes changed. And we'll be on the sort of Pisces Virgo axis until 26th of July next year, 2026. So it might be a full moon, but the energetics of the eclipses are important because they tend to set the scene as to what is actually going to be playing out in our lives over the next 6 months. And during the eclipses, there is a potential for stronger seismic activity because the moon, of course, falls on the tectonic plates. The eclipses themselves act as pivot points because they can also bring about permanent changes. And while, as I said, the full moon is about endings, culminations of one lunar cycle, the lunar eclipse is also about a deeper shedding of what no longer is serving us. They are connected with endings, and as such, it's important to notice that things may be quite unexpected because there is a bit of a chaotic energy in relation to eclipses. You may find important people in your life exiting. You may find restlessness when it comes to your career or where you are living. Depending on where 15 degrees, 22 minutes of Pisces falls in your own birth chart. So if you do have a copy of your own birth chart or natal chart, have a look to see where Pisces falls, because this is going to govern the area of your life that this eclipse will no doubt be affecting. It'll be where there will be increasing energy for you to sort of clear things out, especially at that really deeper level. It's about bringing to an end a closure of something that maybe you've been constantly sweeping underneath the carpet or sort of pushing those things in the back of your wardrobe that you will deal with it later. Well, now is later, so to speak. So whether it is a relationship, your home, work, career, or something else, if we're looking at the energetics, we've actually sort of moved into this eclipse cycle. So, and the closer that we will come to the 7th or the 8th of September, the clearer it will become as to what needs to be cleared out in your life. And as I said, this is permanent change. It is a sense of destiny that's sort of connected in with the eclipses. However, as I also have mentioned, the energy of the eclipse is unpredictable. And it's almost like there is a sort of need to let go of trying to control things in our lives, especially when we are noticing things are just not working out, that our control is actually still slipping through our fingers like grains of sand. This is the time now where we need to breathe, surrender, and let go. Trust. And I know it's pretty difficult these days for people to sort of trust in cosmos, the universe, trust in what you cannot see, but surrender to the process because it is actually out of your control. And any pain or anguish or anxiety is actually being caused by you hanging on to it. It needs to let go, and it will remove itself from your life, regardless of whether you allow it to go voluntarily or it'll be ripped out from your sense of control. And it's also important to keep in mind that Pisces is a very emotional sign. It's probably one of the more sensitive signs in the whole zodiac. So this could be why emotions are really intense at this present point in time, and they'll even get even more tense, especially when we are faced of letting go. So this is why we need to breathe, trust, surrender, release. It's out of our control. When we have a lunar eclipse set at the 7th and 8th of September, this means that this eclipse will actually be a total lunar eclipse. It means that the full moon, as I just mentioned earlier, is also at the North Node. It's conjunct to the North Node, indicating that we are meant to grow into our intuition, into our intuitive awareness, as we sort of close out of things that no longer serve us. And Pam Gregory, who's one of the astrologers that I follow, you can find her link to her update on the eclipse below. She points out that this closure, this full moon, has great purpose in feeding the new direction, which is the North Node. There is a mix of powerful endings as well as beginnings. So it's almost like in order to bring the new sense of direction into our lives, we really need to let stuff go. This is something I feel like I'm repeating myself that I say over and over again. So as we head into the new future, it's increasingly important that we sort of gain that confidence of being able to step into the unknown. And with the moon conjunct the North Node, this means, as I said, that the sun is conjunct or very close to the South Node in Virgo, which sort of wants a little bit more of the fine details in order to what will be coming into our life and what really needs to let go. But it comes back to a trusting process. And again, if you have a copy of your natal chart, look to see if you have any planets or points between, say, 10 degrees and 20 degrees of Pisces, because this means that this eclipse, the energy of this eclipse will be working more personally with you. And when eclipses are conjunct to personal planets, which are Mercury, Venus, Mars, I think those are all the personal planets, this indicates more personal developments, also the sun, more personal developments happening in your life. And as I mentioned, Pisces is at the end of the zodiac, and it's highlighting the focus is on endings, closures, the unraveling of what no longer basically works for us. So if we look at the sign of Pisces, it's depicted by two fish actually flowing the opposite directions. And as such, it's a sign of duality. And according to another astrologer that I follow, and you'll see the link below, that's Molly McCord, this sort of indicates that we flow up to, or we can flow up to the higher realms for perspective, to gain a higher understanding, to connect with our higher self, sort of develop this trusting of our intuition, and then we return that to our human self. Return all the sort of deeper understanding, this deeper wisdom that we've gained from the higher realms, and integrate it into our human experience. And this is what's known as unity consciousness. We're adding that higher wisdom, that higher understanding into the here and now, into the collective, into sharing it with the people around us. Because we're all in this together, we're all connected into the energies around us. And while we can't change everybody's perception, we're almost like the pebble that's being thrown into the pond, we can create that ripple effect out. And that's important. It's that integration. And again, this is something that I'll be talking about for ages as well. And one of the reasons why I started the Reawakening the Sacred Self conferences is because I see a lot of spiritual bypassing, or people wanting to sort of ignore this physical plane altogether and to aspire to higher consciousness or a higher awareness. That's all well and good, but there is a reason why we are here is physically incarnated on this earth plane. If we can touch the higher realms, the higher consciousness, well and good, but we need to bring that knowledge, that insight, those teachings down into this earth plane awareness and integrate it. That's where our soul is at this present point in time. So again, coming back to the astrology, look to see if you've got your copy of your natal chart, if you have any planets and points in the mutable signs, because Pisces is a mutable sign. So we're looking at Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Virgo. These will also be impacted by the life changes caused by this eclipse. Where you have 15 degrees of Pisces in the house placement, this is the area of, or in your life, where the spotlight of change will be on, where the eclipse will be felt having the most effect, and it will flow out through the other mutable signs. What's quite interesting about this eclipse is that it's the second of 3 lunar eclipses that will be at the sort of Virgo Pisces axis, where the moon is in Pisces, the sun's in Virgo. And again, as I said, this will be this way until 2026 when the nodes actually change. We had the first eclipse on this line in September last year, and that occurred at 29 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. I've got this one coming up on the 7th or 8th of September at 15 degrees of Pisces, and then next year on the 27th of August, we have a further lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Pisces, because the nodes move backwards through the sky, basically. And it's interesting to see that, or to realize that we do not actually have a solar eclipse that will be working with the North Node. And so the North Node is at Pisces. So again, there is this emphasis on this continual surrender, releasing, letting go of what no longer is in alignment for us, especially as all the other planets are changing signs and pushing us into this forward direction. So it's, again, this grand clearing the ground and creating space. And this Virgo Pisces axis relates to health. So it could be balancing our mental, our physical selves, of our emotional, spiritual selves, that sort of duality of the two fish. And if that's not enough, the North Node is also adding to the theme of these big endings, sort of in order to move through into the new, into what is waiting around the corner to emerge into our lives. So we are in this cycle of surrendering and letting go, of allowing things to be closed out in order to bring in the new. And Pisces, as I've mentioned, it's connected with water. It's mutable, it's the flow. Whereas the sun in Virgo is connected with earth. We also have Mercury at 10 degrees of Virgo, sort of adding a little bit of logic, sort of methodical strength, desire to sort of focus on the practical facts, the details, especially when it comes to deciding on what the next steps are or will be taken in order to solve problems. Sort of looking at the possibilities, the alternative solutions even, that maybe we have not thought of before or even considered. And this is what happens when we create space. We're able to see things from a different perspective. Keeping the moon company in Pisces, we have Saturn, which has retrograded back to 29 degrees 32 minutes. And the planetary ruler of Pisces is Neptune, which itself will retrograde to 1 degrees of Aries very soon. Or it might have actually retrograded into 1 degrees of Aries. And this could mean further big weather events such as more extreme weather, especially in connection with water, such as storms and floodings, even typhoons, hurricanes, taking place over the next 6 months, sort of working on the sort of water theme, things happening in with the ocean and changes, even to our shorelines. And as I record this, where I live, we've just had some, I would say, unusually extreme weather, but we've had some of the last of the winter storms, and our temperatures have just plummeted. There's been a lot of rain, and even yesterday there's been two little sort of hurricanes come through areas close to where I live, which it's been quite interesting, shall we say. I mean, at the end of the day, it's out of our hands. There's nothing we can do about it. So it's just interesting. It's just what's happening, this clearing out. So looking specifically at the areas which Pisces rules, these not only include health, as I've mentioned, but medicines, chemicals, liquids such as oil and gas, oceans and seas. Mental health falls under Pisces rulership. There's been something also recently in America, I can't remember the organization, but it's in relation to the Trump administration and the Kennedy guy. Maybe I should have written this down, who's in charge with health, of sort of bringing in his alternative viewpoints and sacking directors of various organizations, and they've now all gone out on strike. And it's quite interesting, shall we say, as to what is happening. But bringing it into a personal level, because mental health falls under Pisces rulership with what is happening all around, what is coming undone. There could be the sense of overwhelm, confusion in our world. To check into your own mental health, your own reality. Check in as to what is triggering you. Are you feeling like you are sort of soldiering on, pushing things under the carpet, putting on the sort of brave face, so to speak? Or are you looking for ways to sort of avoid situations, trying to even numb yourself down, numb yourself from these intense energetics, almost sort of forming a sense of escapism or avoidance of reality? Again, this is sort of moving to the negative traits of Pisces. Maybe see if you are noticing any sort of fears and phobias surfacing again, propaganda, false narratives being played out, and it's almost like you can clearly see them now, the falsity to them. And all of this has been presented in a way of either to completely destroy your trust or to gain your trust only. Maybe you're finding out now that what has been glittering for you is no longer gold, that there have been actually alternative motives that are now coming to light. Illusions, because the truth has not been exposed, or is being exposed now, because the full story wasn't told back there, whenever then was. And it's really disappointing because our truth in itself has really had a battering over the last 5-6 years. So we're almost at a point in questioning, how can we honestly believe anything these days? Added to that, we have the rise in AI. How can you even trust or believe what I'm saying to you? And maybe this is part of the bigger picture. Basically, that when we erode our trust in each other, we also erode the trust in our own selves. Or maybe it's all conspiracy. After all, within Buddhist teachings, it is instructed that we are living in Maya, illusion. Have we actually now really just manifested this illusion? And as I said, AI is not or the only, I wouldn't say issue, but the only sort of obstacle for us to sort of move around to. It's just, I think, asking us to slow down and check back into our humanness. Because all is not as bleak as it may appear, because we do have Mercury in Virgo along with the Sun. And Mercury is about, especially with Virgo, determining to find out all those missing details and all those specific things, the misplaced truths, the pieces of the puzzles that may have been hidden. Mercury in Virgo is wanting to reveal these to create the whole story. So it's interesting to sort of consider, how exactly are you coming to your conclusions and to the changes that you are about to undertake? Now, I'm not telling you to do this way or that way. All I'm asking you is just do some self-querying. Leave the external insights to the side for a moment and just ask yourself, where is your sense of truth? Do you believe this person purely because you don't like the other person? Or is there something deeper that resonates with you? And it's quite interesting when we start asking ourselves, why do we believe in certain things? And I have done a video a few weeks ago on polarity, the sort of more magically orientated, but we can see it in our world today, the division in polarity and the problems that it can actually manifest when we are almost blinkered into believing that there's only two choices, this way or that way, and we miss all the different gradients in between. I'll link below to that video. Anyway, coming back to the eclipse, another point that Molly McCord mentions, which I found of interest, is that Saturn is at the anaretic, the end degree of Pisces. Saturn is known as the taskmaster, and it relates to structure and responsibilities, discipline, limitations, also time. And Molly mentions that this could also result in extinction, serious endings, changes in leadership, especially of those in positions of power or authority. They may actually find themselves being challenged over the next 6 months. And this is all because Saturn is connected with, I suppose, bringing forth karma, whether you believe in karma or not, making our actions come to light, sort of like cashing in on our duties, our due, so to speak, and what has not been completed, what is incomplete. And more importantly, it is a focus on the soul, because we all have a soul, our own soul's responsibility to clear out big karma before moving forward our north node direction. So if we haven't walked our talk, and I'm just being reminded of the journey of the soul in ancient Egyptian myth, but it goes into the weighing of the soul on the scales of Maya, where it's weighing of the heart, because they believe that the soul was in the heart. That had to be lighter than Maya's feather, with the truth, with the energetics. It's going to be interesting. What's also interesting is that 2 weeks following the lunar eclipse, on the 21st of September, we have the solar eclipse, which will be at 29 degrees of Virgo. And this also is at the final degree point. Again, about endings. But this, at the South Node, this is more into the collective. Endings in the collective. And as we attempt to sort of navigate ourselves through these periods of uncertainty, it is increasingly important to ascertain what your own coping mechanisms are, making sure that you remain grounded, breathing, deep breathing, understanding what you can and cannot do. Again, keep grounded. Become more mindful too of your own energetic imprint, of what you allow in to your own energetic field. There is also a reminder to trust in what needs to be closed out, to surrender, to release once and for all. We have returned to the same place where we were last year at the lunar eclipse. So, what have you been holding on to still and have not let go of? What is no longer needed in your life? The universe will close it out, will dissolve what is no longer needed, regardless of whether you are ready to or not. It's already given you a heads up. The choice is yours. Are you going to take the lead and allow the universe to guide you through the closing out, the letting go? Or will you turn it over to the universe and let it do it for you? Interesting. So, big lunar eclipse coming up, a lot of energetics. What I just want to briefly do now is just share with you some upcoming events that I do have, if you are interested. Excuse me. The first one is I'm going to be taking part in Spectral Evidence, which is an online event beginning of October, from the 4th to the 6th of October, or the 5th to the 7th, I think, here in Australia. You can buy your ticket. We have presenters all around the world. The theme is on paranormal and the occult. And I will just, we can scroll down to see all of the presenters there. And there I am. Oops, just gone past me as well. And all you need to do is just click on it, and I am giving a talk or a presentation on familiar spirits of the in-between spaces, exploring the liminal realms. So we're going to be looking at basically spirits of the in-between places. What are these liminal spaces? What lives in there? Beings that sort of are in our peripheral vision, in our sort of psychic awareness, that we may or may not be aware of. Also looking at through history as to how they have been sort of connected in, especially with the occult, how they're connected in with the land as well, how they can really connect in with our ancestors, and help us gain a better understanding of our place in this reality as opposed to another reality. So that's early, the first weekend in October. The next weekend, if my computer will let me do things, I might have to stop that share and do the next one. I do have yet another offering through the College of Psychic Studies. And this time is on the smorgasbord of spiritual connection, in that we're sort of like preparing ourselves to connect in with ancestors, angels, spirit guides, ancestors, the fae, all these things that you may have heard about, but you don't know how to actually set up your own practice or your own space. Also trusting, opening yourself up to this, trusting what comes through, as well as ascertaining what is false contact and what is actual true contact. And then also, so that's happening on the 15th, so the 18th of October. And I'll just go to my own page at the college, because I do now have my New Zealand, so my November presentation available, which is Spirit of Place. So it's a little bit, getting a little bit more personal than the presentation that I'm doing for Spectral Evidence. This one is more about looking at the energetics of the land upon which we reside, connecting in with those sort of sense of space, those sacred circles that we travel to, those sacred sites that we travel the world to, and also even where you do live, in your own location. And I'll also be introducing you to, if you're not familiar with this Australian Aboriginal term called Dundiri, which is deep listening to the land. And this is a similar concept that we see in a lot of Indigenous teachings. And this helps, in particular, through my own personal experience in connecting with place. Look, here we are. And these might be some things that we feel could help you ground as we move through and out this eclipse energy on the other side. So, as always, take care. If there are things that you find that you resonate with in this video, please put your comments below. I always go back and have a look at them. Until next time, blessings.